The Sigma 18-50 DC-DN contemporary lens for Canon RF crop sensor mounts is a lens that is made to never leave your camera, but how good is it? If you're new here, my name is Cameron. I'm a photographer and videographer based out of Durham, North Carolina. And on today's video, we're going to talk about the Sigma 18-50. Now, Sigma is releasing a long line of lenses for the Canon RF mounts, which is brand spanking new to the RF system. They made a lot of EF lenses, but the RF lenses, Canon was like, nah, third party, no, Canon only. So now third party manufacturers are able to make lenses for RF mounts. So there's only for crop sensor right now, but hopefully this is going to open the door to a lot of full frame lenses as well. So keep in mind that this is a crop sensor camera that I'm on, and it is a crop sensor lens. There is a 1.6 times magnification factor. So if you're looking at this lens saying 18-50, that's such a weird focal length. You have to take into account 1.6, so 18-50 times 1.6 is actually a 28.8 to 80. Now, if you have not watched my last video about initial reaction and unboxing to the Sigma 18-50, go ahead and watch that. I'm gonna put that card up here and then come back to this video. So on today, we're just gonna get into kind of a small review, not super in-depth, not super technical, because I'm not a super technical guy. I just like to put the lens on and shoot and not have to worry about anything else. So kind of sort of cool review, just kind of went out and tested the waters and whatever. So we're going to talk about it. First things first is going to be the ergonomics. So this is a DC-DN contemporary lens, so it's not an art lens or the equivalent to an L series lens that you'll see in Canon. So it's not going to be that high quality glass. So this is kind of plasticky. I wouldn't say it's cheaply made, but it's plasticky. So plastic build, plastic lens hood, as you see everywhere. And then you just have the metal on the mount that goes on the camera. So as far as ergonomics goes, I mean, we knew it wasn't going to be the best because of the type of lens it was, but as long as you protect your stuff and as long as you take care of your gear, then you have nothing to worry about. But it feels good. It's small. It only weighs 10 ounces, where I believe that's 950 grams that it weighs, according to Jared Poland. Light enough to carry it around, light enough to be your everyday lens. So the 28-70 for Canon, the L series lens, the f2 is a huge lens. So I definitely wouldn't make that my everyday lens because it is 3+ pounds. But this only being 10 ounces, it's a great everyday lens, and from you getting 28 to 80 at 2.8 aperture, you can't really complain too much about that. Now, of course, there's faster zooms, but we're talking about a budget-friendly lens here. Now, if you're curious about the price, this is $600. I don't see it going down for Prime Day because it just came out. So $600 what you're getting in. And so it is a budget-friendly entry-level lens. Now, $600 being entry-level is kind of crazy, I know, but if you're a photographer, then you know that this hobby or this profession is not cheap. So for $600, getting a contemporary lens, 18-50, an aperture of 2.8, can't really complain about that. So it is a good lens as far as ergonomics goes. Obviously there is better, but obviously there is worse. So with that being said, let's move on to the next topic. As far as pictures go, I wanted to know how sharp this lens really was. So obviously it's not L series glass. Obviously it's not an art lens for Sigma. So for it to be a budget lens or an entry-level lens, how sharp of an image are we getting? So I went out to test this lens. I tested it at 18 millimeters. I tested it at 31 millimeters because 31 times 1.6 is 50. So I wanted that true 50 millimeter equivalent. And then I tested it at 50 millimeters, which is that 80 millimeter equivalent, closest you're gonna get to 85. So on the 18 millimeter, which is gonna be equivalent to the 28, I got a pretty wide field of view. And if you crop in, you see that it is pretty soft around where I was focusing, and I'm shooting everything at 2.8 just so I can see, because who gets a 2.8 aperture lens to not use it at 2.8, you know what I mean? So I shot everything at 2.8 just so you can see. And then at the 50 millimeter, this is the look I got at 50 millimeters. And if you crop in, it's kind of the same thing. It is a clean image, but obviously, like I said, there is better. So don't get this lens thinking you're not going to need any other lens, that you're never going to have to upgrade again because you're going to cover everything. This is a great lens, but it's not going to be the one that's like the one. There's better out there, but it's still a good lens. And then I got this view at 50, which is the 80 millimeter equivalent. So super punched in and Still a little soft as anybody would expect, but it is a pretty good picture that you're getting at the 2.8 aperture all the way at 80. And for this to be a budget level lens or entry level lens, to have a constant aperture of 2.8 from 18 to 50 or from the 28.8 to 80 millimeter equivalent, I mean, you can't really beat it. For video, I mean, if you're curious, I am using the 18 to 50 right now at the 36 millimeter mark. So this is the view you're getting for video, if you're talking about talking head. Now I did take this outside to do a little bit of video and a little bit of seeing what the autofocus was looking like. So the autofocus is violently okay. Like, it's pretty good. It snatches the eye pretty good if you're walking straight up to it. But as you see, if I'm moving side to side, it doesn't really catch that well. But in the real world, I don't know how often you're gonna have people walking across the lens when you're trying to catch focus. So take that with a grain of salt. But if I'm walking directly up to it or just standing from the bottom looking directly at it, the autofocus works pretty well. Now, unlike the 24 millimeter macro or 35 millimeter macro on Canon, this lens does not have image stabilization. So the R7 body itself has image stabilization within, but I'm gonna be completely honest, the R7 IBIS isn't the best. More often than not, you'll see micro jitters when you're using IBIS than when you're not using IBIS. So actually in this video here that I'm about to show you, I was not using IBIS. So there's no IBIS on the camera, no IBIS on the lens. And also, if you have a R7, just know that if you're using IBIS, it does crop in just a little bit to get rid of those micro jitters, or attempt to get rid of those micro jitters. Another question about this lens, it is an everyday lens. It is a smaller lens. Like I said, it's only 10 ounces or 950 grams. So is this okay to vlog with? Is this going to be wide enough to vlog with? So I went out and tested it, and here's what I found. Can you vlog with this lens? I mean, I think to me the answer is yes, but I'm gonna put a little asterisk next to my yes. I can't really pronounce asterisk. That's for them English teachers or whatever. But I'm gonna put an asterisk next to it because I am tall. I am 6'4". I have long arms. A lot of people are not going to be as tall as me or have as long as arms as me. So me, I still have a slight bend in the elbow, and this is the frame I'm getting at 28 millimeters. So for a lot of people, this is going to be too tight to vlog with. So if I was like, I don't know, 5'7", then the camera would probably be like this, which is entirely too tight to vlog with because you can see all my pores and blemishes and stuff. So I like to be out here when I vlog. So the downside with this is that if I'm carrying like this for a long time, my arm's probably gonna get tired. Even though I still have a slight bend in it, I can still feel it a little bit in my shoulder. Maybe I just need to get back in the gym, I don't know. But there's an asterisk next to it, but yes, you can vlog with this lens at 18 millimeters, which is a 28.8 equivalent. And if you want to punch in and get a little bit tighter, say I wanted to like zoom in on a part of this car right here. This is my whip, my little Buick. If I wanted to get a little piece right quick, I just zoom in, get a little piece, zoom back out. So the versatility of this lens is, you know, pretty much unmatched, as is pretty much any, you know, 28 to 80, 28 to 70 lens. But vlogging with it, it's light enough and it's wide enough to vlog with if your arms are long enough, pretty much. But you'll enjoy this lens. So Sigma 18 to 50, there you go. So vlog worthy, check, depending. So you're gonna have to figure out whether you can vlog with this personally or not. Me, it's an everyday lens. It might not ever leave my camera again until I get a second body. Then I could just throw another lens on a second body, like an 85 or something like that. I don't know, we'll see. But final thoughts, who do I think is this lens for? Final thoughts on this lens. I do want to use it a lot more just to get a more broad view or broad review of this lens. If I take like, you know, 100, 200, 300 photos, if I use it for a full session, photo and video. But for initial thoughts from going out and testing it, I like this lens. I think this is a good lens. I think this is a lens for people who are getting into photography, whether it be hobbyists or whether it be people who are starting out in their business. I think this is a great lens to start with. I don't think this is a lens that you're gonna be making a career out of. I don't think this is a lens that you're gonna do hundreds and hundreds of weddings on. I think for that, you're definitely gonna wanna go with the Art Series lens or a L Series lens if you're shooting Canon. But if you're just getting started like me, I think this is a great lens. The constant aperture at 2.8, 18 to 50, and crop sensor a lot of times is frowned upon, but I promise you there's nothing wrong with crop sensor cameras. If you know what you're doing, then you know what you're doing. But this is a great lens, and I think this is for the beginners, the hobbyists, and the people who are just starting out and want to get their hands on a zoom lens, because whether they aren't comfortable shooting on primes yet, or they're still trying to figure out where they can stand, or it's just for lazy shooters in general. If you don't want to zoom with your body, you just zoom with the lens and make it a whole lot easier. So for me, I'm shooting a wedding in October. I'm going to have two bodies, two Canon R7s, just so I can have similar cameras to work with. And this is going to be on one of the cameras, this 18 to 50, and then on the other lens, or the other camera body, is going to be my 85. So I'm going to have the 28 to 80 equivalent on one body, and then I'm going to have the 136 equivalent on another body. And I know some of you might be wondering, why don't you just have like an 85 equivalent on the other body? Because this is 18 to 50 and it's 28 to 80. So in what world or what way would I get an 85 equivalent? And why would it make sense? Like, why would I have an 80 and then an 85 equivalent? Like, it just doesn't make sense. They're too close together. You're not really getting two different looks. So I'm gonna have my 85, which is gonna give me that 136 look, super compressed, and I love that 85, and I love the 136 look, but I also love the 85 look, which is kind of what you get on here with the 50. So I really enjoy this lens, and I look forward to using it a whole lot more. If this video was of value to you, like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments down below if you do own this lens, or if you're looking to get this lens. Hopefully I was able to help you get a more accurate view on what this lens is and what it can offer and the quality of this lens. And obviously there are a million other photographers that have reviewed this lens, more well known than me, but I'm just a guy out here trying to, trying to make it. Just talking about what I enjoy, doing what I love. But I got something today. Let me show y'all, because since we're here, I got a new film camera. Boom! Look at this. I got the Canon, what is it called? The Canonet QL17. So I got it off Facebook Marketplace for $25. I mean, you can't beat it, right? You can't beat it. So I'm really excited to try this camera out. I might go out and shoot some stuff with it. I don't know. We'll see. So, like I said, if this video was of value to you, like, subscribe, comment, do what you do, make it do what it do. And I appreciate you. And until the next video, peace.